Nikolai Kozyrev was a very promising, well-respected astrophysicist who was a professor at the Pukhorov University in 1931 until 1936. In 1936, a disgruntled student started making accusations against the staff of the school. And as a result, Joseph Stalin rounded up the staff and had them either executed or imprisoned. Kozyrev was given 20 years. Originally 10 years for counter-revolutionary activity, and then an additional 10 for hostile propaganda. This seriously isolated him from the rest of the world. For example, during his imprisonment, he had no idea that nuclear energy had been discovered. He also had a photographic memory and was studying Einstein's theories, so this gave him a very unusual perspective. Uninfluenced by the mainstream scientific community, he postulated that through the use of a curved mirrored surface, time could be bent and observed. Time, as we know it, does not exist. It is a concept of our perceived reality. All points in time exist simultaneously at all times. By creating a device made up of a spherical shaped reflective surface large enough for a man to sit inside, time energy could then be collected and used by the observer. His chosen surface, after much experimentation, is a very high grade aluminum. Kozyrev's colleagues fought to have him released, and he eventually was. He served 11 of his 20 years. But Kozyrev, that came out of the gulags, was not the same man who went in. His ideas were radical. He would continue to fund his own research and land upon a material that he thought would work, but he would never see the Kozyrev mirror complete. He died in 1983 with his experiments unexplored. By 1990, Stalin was long gone. Theoretical physics had changed the world, and the Russian government really wanted to fund this tin spiral thing. Didn't see what it was all about. The location chosen for the project was Dixon, the closest inhabited city to the Arctic. The location was chosen because of the permafrost. There is so much history frozen in time, and it was theorized that as the ice melts, time energy would be released. When the devices were first built, no one would go anywhere near them. They emitted fear. The closer the scientists and volunteers got to the device, the more afraid they became. It was debilitating. One account says that a man near the machine felt a blow to the back of his head, like the device was resisting people and fighting back. Around the village at this time, more and more UFOs were seen every day. Eventually, a few brave souls ventured forward, and then a few more. They sat down in the spiral and let it rotate around them. They stared at the concave wall, and they saw patterns. All of them. They saw the same writing without communicating to one another, without any provocation. Some was Sumerian, some was Aztec, some Egyptian. It was a hodgepodge of ancient writings from all over the world. And the more they stared, the more they saw. Not just writings either. They saw other things too. It was as if all points in space and time converged into one. They saw other dimensions. One man recalled seeing himself as a child 30 years in the past, and that child even acknowledged him. If that's not time travel, I don't know what is. And it doesn't stop there. One individual talked about meeting Genghis Khan. Another was in the Roman Empire. One of the most common themes, however, among the participants was white glowing figures that became known as the observers. These faceless, human like figures were seen by many of the participants. They were said to communicate telepathically and have the ability to control others. Many felt like they were watched or uneasy because of these beings. Now, what's interesting about the Kozyrev Mirror Project is the documentation. This isn't a one off report by some fringe scientist with questionable credentials. This is a project openly funded by the Russian government. They worked with Britain to run experiments at Stonehenge. The CIA has its own documentation backing up these findings. Dr. Koznachev and Dr. Tromanov, who ran the experiments, even wrote a book about it. Cosmic Consciousness of Humanity, The Problems with New Cosmogony. Gives details detailed accounts of the project as told by the scientists, the volunteers, and those who lived in the area. If all that isn't enough, Dr. Kozyrev spoke to an international convention about the use of the Kozyrev mirror to predict natural disasters. The results are frighteningly better than the scientific equipment we use for that purpose today. Are you one of those people who will only believe the truth if you see it with your own eyes? Build one. It's relatively easy and inexpensive. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but personally, I want to throw on some headphones, stare at a curved mirror, and see what I can find out. I promise if I meet Jesus or Genghis Khan, you'll be the first to hear about it.